All right. My name is Stuart Canner with the Texas Track and Field Coaches Association, here with Coach Darren Flowers out of the University of Texas, RGV. Thank you first for giving yourself up some time this afternoon.
You bet. Thanks for having me. Excited to be talking with you.
I noticed you mentioned just a couple minutes ago, you've got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old at home, and now the track has been shut down and the NCAA has extended the dead period. It's sort of shifted what's become important in life. And now you get a lot more chance to spend time with the family. So how has this all gone for you?
Well, you really kind of get the chance to hit the reset button a little bit and think about your priorities and, think about what's really important to you, why you do what you do as a coach. And I think it's been a really good experience for me. I mean, although it's really tough to tell a group of kids that, hey, the aspirations that we had for the spring aren't going to happen. It's still, I think it's been important to step back and look and see, okay, this is why I do this, really serving these kids, and then just getting to spend time with the family. And especially since my kids are so young and they're growing so fast, it's been really good to spend some time with them a little bit. So, it's been a good point of reflection, but obviously missing track and field and our student athletes.
When there was first talk of COVID-19 becoming more serious and things starting to shut down, video of Mark Cuban on the sidelines and the NBA just cancels, and all of a sudden it comes to the NCAA. What was your reaction and how did you tell your athletes?
Well, I had a feeling it was coming. I was watching the news and the Twitter feed like everyone else, and seeing all these things kind of shutting down and the dominoes falling into place. And I know our basketball team was on the road. They were at the WAC championships. And so I was trying to, stay in touch with our SID and just kind of see what he was hearing. And so once we got the word, we were kind of in a little bit of a transition period. It was the week of track and field national championships. We weren't fortunate enough to have anyone qualify. We had a kid that was a couple spots out, but so we didn't have anyone there representing UTRGV. So we were basically in kind of a period where we were taking a week off, recovering, and really gearing up for the outdoor season. So, we weren't really interacting with our kids that much that week. And so all of this went down, and then, it was like almost immediately campus was shut down, activities were shut down. And it was just like, you have your foot on the pedal for so long and you're going and going and going. So all of a sudden just have it cut off was crazy. And so, we just had to, once they shut everything down and the NCAA came out and said, hey, there's going to be no championships. It was a hard pill to swallow, but, you just tell your kids and UTRGV, we're fortunate enough where our administration and our university is going to bringing our kids back for their 5th year. And those kids aren't going to lose their year of eligibility. They're going to be able to come back and prove themselves. And so we're fortunate in that regard. And so having that helps cushion the blow a little bit, but still tough to, reach out to your kids and tell them, hey, the season's over. We're going to all online classes. You got to, you really got to focus in a different way now. That was tough.
When the NCAA allowed the kids to return who wanted to for that extra eligibility, how did that affect your recruiting, your incoming class?
It affected it somewhat, not too much. We pretty much had all of our kids signed, with the exception of a few. But what it forced us to do is kind of hone in to say, okay, the kids we sign have to be very high quality because we're bringing back a bigger roster now that we didn't expect to bring this next year. So, with everything that's going on financially in the NCAA and most universities, we knew that we were going to have to tighten our belt a little bit, probably have budget reductions. And so, bringing back more kids isn't necessarily conducive to, savings and things like that. So we just had to say, hey, let's focus on the quality, make sure that we're bringing in high quality kids, and that we're, getting as much bang for our buck, and giving them a great experience as well. We don't want to be spread too thin.
Right, and you're bringing in kids like out of Sherryland, was it Audrey Gallardo out of Eagle Pass, Ricardo Garcia, Giselle Gonzalez, Anna Hernandez. Of this incoming group, of which that was only a small portion, who do you see making an impact as a freshman?
Well, across the board, a lot of the kids that you mentioned are cross-country kids. We
Hmm.
did sign. We were fortunate enough to sign two really big recruits, two top 25 in the nation recruits. One off the top of my head is Jamarion Stewart. Um, he's from up north. He's one of the top 20 sprinters in the nation, 21.2, 10.4 guy that I think could be. I mean, I think he's a kind of a hidden talent. I mean, he was not that hidden. Obviously, he has great marks, but
Hmm.
he wasn't really able to have an outdoor season this year,
Right.
you know, and kind of got overlooked. And I had a coach reach out to me and say, hey, this kid's still available. Would you be interested? And I jumped on it immediately, got him down here, and he loved the RGV, loved South Texas, and he was like, man, this is great. And we've got a great core group of sprinters too. And so I think he could be a big impact kid right away. Now, with freshmen, you never know. Like they've got to acclimate, they've got to
Right.
adjust, they've got to get used to the academics, everything like that. And so we'll see. We'll see. How it goes. But he's one that really comes to mind. I mean, like I said, top 25 kid in the nation.
Will your school, have they announced, are they going to open, uh, for lack of a better word, as if it were normal?
I wouldn't say normal. I don't. I think things are going to be a lot different for a while.
Hmm.
We are gonna reopen. The plan is to reopen, but there will be a lot of online class options. I think you're looking at most of the class sizes being greatly reduced and spread out. How that affects scheduling, we don't really know yet. I think we're going to know more like mid-July probably, um, with more of a tangible plan for what's actually going to happen on the university. But we're currently talking about some different ways where we can bring students back, test, self-isolate, contact trace. And we're fortunate because we have a partnership with UT Health, and their presence here down in the RGV is really strong. So we have medical support to kind of help get these kids here and make sure that we're doing the right things to not only protect the kids but protect the staff, and make sure that we're doing the right things there.
Okay, let's step away from the track for a second, because when I
Okay.
originally emailed you about a week ago, um, you share a passion that I do, which is writing. So
Sure.
you
Yeah.
now have a book out called The Method, a simple training method for developing the middle distance runner.
Correct.
You have a children's book out.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And you also have, now, do you have a band,
No,
or is the
I
music your own and you put together a band for it, or how's this work?
yeah. So the music thing really is something I've been doing for years, and actually something I started before even coaching. And I was fortunate enough to play with a lot of great musicians, and had a band at one point. But now being a head coach, it's really not something I can do as frequently, because I put so much time and energy into our student athletes, and so it's something really more that's more for me, and more for my kids. They're my biggest audience right now. So but I love writing, and I've always wanted to write a book about training. And it just so happens I've been working on, probably the last 2 or 3 years, keeping journals really closely of what I do, and notes. And I can look back over probably 8 to 10 years to see some of the details of what I've done. And and I just really started putting some of my thoughts together and said, you know what, I can make this a book. And it really helped me really organize just my thoughts. And initially it was just for me to kind of organize things. And I said, you know what, I could put this out here and maybe help some young coaches or some new coaches that are getting into this sport, and maybe give them a starting point, so, but yeah, writing's always been something that I've loved to do. And whether it be music or children's books or just that creative outlet's kind of nice for me to keep balance in my professional life.
Fair enough. Now, the middle distance book is available on Amazon. What about the children's book? Where did the idea for, now correct me if I'm wrong, Clem and Tang,
Uh-huh.
where, where did the idea for this come from?
So, living here in the RGV, it's kind of the citrus capital of Texas. There's a lot of orange
Okay.
orchards and things like that. And honestly, where we go train and run with our cross country teams, it's through a lot of these orange orchards. And I actually have 2 orange trees in my backyard. I have a lime tree, a fig tree, and it's just a lot of different fruit trees down here. And really, the idea came from my kids. They were, playing with the little mandarin oranges and just talking about, like using voices for them to talk back and forth. And I was like, you know what, we could take that and maybe make them a little, make them some characters and really just maybe try to raise some awareness for healthy fruits and vegetables. And something that I'm passionate about too is just health and well-being. And so.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of a creative outlet. And I started writing a few things, some poems and some little stories, and the kids loved it. And so I was like, you know what, we'll put something out there and see how it goes. So.
And I saw the single strips on either Facebook or Twitter, and full of puns.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like I'm a big dad joke guy. Like I love the dad jokes. So, it was just natural for me to gravitate towards that. And doing the comic strips was just really a chance for me to practice the graphic illustration and things like that. Because that's not something I'm admittedly very good at, but working to get better at. So that's where that came into play.
All right. Musically, you play the acoustic guitar. Do you play any other instruments as well?
Well, I'm learning the banjo a little bit.
Nice. Do you have the banjo with you?
It's in my back room. Yeah, I do. I do have it, but I don't think you want to hear me play it. I'm not that great. I'm getting better, but I aspire to be a Steve Martin or a Earl Scruggs or something like that. But I'm a long ways from that.
And who would you consider your musical influences? I was listening to some of the songs on YouTube, and I'm hearing some country. I'm hearing some 70s singer-songwriter, Harry Chapin. So who would you consider your influences?
I love bluegrass music. My grandfather was he loved bluegrass music, and we used to hear it all the time when we were out there fishing. And I would say originally that kind of sparked my interest, but I also grew up listening to a lot of like old school R&B, and Bill Withers is one that I would consider a huge influence. Just his songwriting, really earthy and real, and very soulful, So I would say that that's probably a big influence. And of course, I love old country like Johnny Cash and things like that. So there's kind of a mix of culture and genre that I think probably pushed me in the direction that I've gone in the past.
You ever play for the team?
No, I haven't. I used to when I first started, when I was a young guy, like get started in track and field because I was still playing music a lot, but I really haven't played much for the team now.
All right.
It's a hidden secret, right for them.
Not much longer. All right. So track and field national team championship or nominated for a Grammy?
Oh my gosh.
I know. Which way you're going?
Can I have both? I don't know. I mean, in my current state, I'd probably choose the national championship I don't know if I want all that fame and glory. You know what I mean? I'm low key.
Fair enough. Fair enough. As for track and field, who are some of your coaching influences?
Um, I've thought about that a lot, and there's been just so many coaches that I've interacted with throughout my career that I could name that probably no one else would know that have influenced me greatly.
Hmm.
And there's just so many. But I would say to look back on my career and, two active coaches that are great influences for me as a head coach and the way I run a program would be Wes Kitley
Okay.
over at Texas Tech and Damon Martin over at Adams State.
Hmm.
Just, two outstanding people that have been huge influences on me. And then when we talk about training, I would say when I was first getting into this, Joe Behill, Peter Coe, is those are kind of ideologies that I gravitate towards on the distance side. And I wear a lot of hats here at UTRGB. I'm also a sprint hurdles coach and oversee the relays. And
Right.
so, like when you talk about sprinting, long sprints, I'd say guys like Mike Hurst actually was a big influence, Australian coach, coached some world-class 400-meter runners. And
Okay.
another guy that's, actually doing a lot of great stuff with 800-meter and 400-meter runners is Justin Rinaldi.
Hmm.
And he's over in Australia right now doing some stuff with it's called the Fast 8 track club. And so a lot of his stuff I love. I incorporate and has influenced me a lot. And actually, if you read that book, the 3 Method, you'll see that a lot of stuff he's doing is actually in that book. So, and then you've got, strength and conditioning. On the strength and conditioning side, you've got guys like Mike Young, who was one of my early mentors and a guy that influenced me a lot in the strength and conditioning world, Dan Paff.
Right.
Those guys, I think, are at the forefront of track and field and what we're doing. So yeah, those are a few of the big influences.
And with Wes coming off the national championship, and you before RGV were out at West Texas A&M, there's probably an even more special relationship. So how has Wes influenced you? What is the relationship like with Wes?
I think the biggest, before I took this job here at UTRGB, he was one of the people that I talked with extensively about this opportunity, what it could mean, what we could do down here, how it could transform my career. And, he knew what we had done at West Texas A&M. And, I actually had one of his former athletes on my staff, Matt Stewart, who's doing an exceptional job there
Right.
at West Texas A&M now. He was a phenomenal sprinter and ran at Texas Tech for Coach Kitley. And so there's even a deeper connection there, just knowing Matt and their relationship. And he's just always been a great mentor to me on how to run a program, run it with integrity, care about your kids, care about your people. I see a lot of similarities between the way he got into coaching and really grinded those first, quite a few years really.
Right.
And almost like he came from nothing and to see what he has accomplished now at Texas Tech, and it hasn't come easy, and so I think that's a lesson in itself that I can learn from Coach Kitley, is that it's not going to happen overnight, but it's important that you dig your heels in somewhere and you really sell out for the program and you believe in what you're doing. And it's not about like, what's the next best thing? What's the next stepping stone I want to get to? You've got to really make the best of your situation where you're at and try to build something. And I would say that's probably my biggest takeaway from Coach Kitley.
As far as building something, what can we look forward to from UTRGV for the 2021 season?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that we didn't get our outdoor season.
Right.
I redshirted 5 or 6 big point kids last year outdoors, knowing that we were going to host down here in South Texas, so we would have a shot maybe to win a WAC title. And fortunately, all of those student athletes will be back on the men's side next year.
Good.
And so, I think we're going to be, it can always look good on paper. Of course, you have to have some luck and some things got to go in the right direction. But
Of course.
I think we're going to have a great team. I think we're going to have a great group of student athletes. Not only, some of the kids that were mentioned earlier that are freshmen coming in with a lot of talent, but now we have this core group of kids that I will have spent 4 years with, going into my 4th year, that understand the program, understand the culture, and they'll be able to kind of groom this younger group and say, hey, this is what we're about. And I think that's going to be the most powerful thing that we'll see in this upcoming year. And we will have a lot of challenges. I mean, there will be a lot of challenges getting through the fall and getting through the spring in this new climate. But I feel like we're in a good position because we have some senior leadership now that understands where we're headed. So I think that'll help a lot. And we're expecting big things. I mean, we want to try to go win a WAC title outdoor for the men and women, and hopefully we have a couple kids. I think we have a couple caliber kids that can make the national championship and do something there. So that's what I'm hoping for in 2021.
Excellent. Now, you wrote the book on 800 training. So obviously, as any good coach, you continue to learn. And in this case, you learn from yourself as well. What have you learned recently about track and field or about yourself that is going to make you a better coach?
Well, this was really an intense year for me, honestly. Right before the fall of 2019, I did the Altus sprint certification. I went through that program, got the sprint certification. Over the winter break, I got the USTF CCCA strength and conditioning certification. I really wanted to re-up. It had been a while since I'd really gotten into the educational part of it, but starting to write this book, it kind of sparked me, and I was like, man, I really want to expand my knowledge. And so I did those two things, and obviously writing the book, you learn a lot of self-reflection. But really ever since the COVID-19 stuff hit and we haven't had as much time to interact with our student athletes, I'd say what I've learned the most is just, reaching out to other coaches. I've had a lot of great conversations with other coaches about what they do, how they handle their program. And I think more than anything, I have a group of coaching friends. We do a call every week called a meeting of the unknowing minds, right? And so we get together on a Zoom call and we talk for about 2 hours, and we just talk about the landscape of the sport. We talk about what we're doing within our team to build culture, and it's been really productive. It's been a really productive just a session. We do it every week, and we're talking about ways to improve the sport of track and field and cross country, and how do we become more relevant in athletic departments? And
good question.
And it's things that we don't always think about as coaches, but these things get brought up in that Zoom call, and it's been really great. It's been a great challenge and a great way to kind of bounce ideas off each other.
So in this group of unknowing minds, how do we make track and field more popular, more relevant?
Well, I think it definitely is tough with budgets being cut, but when you look at it, track and field is one of the most popular high school sports in the United States, right?
Yeah.
So there are numerous student athletes out there that want to do this sport. And I think for athletic departments and for universities that might be struggling financially, we offer something great. If we can bring these kids into our program and boost the numbers for participation, those are a lot of kids that are paying tuition. Those are a lot of kids that their money is funneling into the universities, and
right.
to even have greater and more diverse representation on your campuses through track and field, which track and field can do that greatly. you see a very, very diverse group of kids that come and
No doubt.
make up a track team. And I think that's where we can be really strong. And so I think that message has to get out to our ADs and our universities that we can represent the university not only in a very diverse way, but also create some stability within the athletic department in the university. So.
Fair enough. Now, like we said, you have published now 2 books, one educational track and field, one a children's book. What are you writing?
Clementine.
There it is. There it is. What are you writing next?
So actually, I'm working on the same series with Clementine. The next book's called When the Beat Goes Bad, and it's about a DJ, a DJ that's a beat. And so it's a dance contest that they're going to be entering, and so I'm currently working on
with
that.
original accompanying music.
Maybe I'm still trying to. I would really like to get Ice-T to narrate the book, but I don't know if he's going to go for it. But no, yeah, well, my brothers are very talented musically as well, and we might just have to get together and put together like a music video for him or something. I don't know.
Excellent. That's awesome. Now, I mentioned to you in an email about a week ago, feel free to bring your guitar on. I don't know if you brought your guitar with you, but you did send me a song that you recorded shortly before we got on Zoom. Why don't you tell everyone why you selected that particular song to record?
Well, I was thinking about it, and honestly, I think, what better way to promote diversity and, pushing forward equality than playing a song from someone who dedicated his whole life to that. Right. So I chose Bob Marley. Yeah. So I chose Redemption Song, just because, like I said, track and field's very diverse, and most of the kids that I've coached in my career are Black or brown. And I've heard their struggles. I've heard their parents' struggles. I've heard their fears. And even now with all that's going on in the world. And so it was just, I thought, what better way to get that message out of how important it is to support our kids during this time. Mm-hmm. And not only just this time, but moving forward. It's not just a now thing, it's an everyday thing that we've got to promote change and really help our Black kids in our communities and on our teams feel like they're supported and taken care of. And so, yeah, that's why I chose that song. And I hope it conveys that message.
And like I said, I have it, and I'll take the recording and meld it at the end of this. And when cool. When one of your student athletes comes to you, how do you talk with him or her about the societal issues you mentioned?
I'm pretty open and upfront, and I don't really pull a lot of punches when it comes to that. I grew up in a community where I was surrounded by Black friends and their parents, and I've heard even growing up, even when I was young, I heard their parents vocalize these struggles. I didn't completely understand it at the time, but I think that what hurts my heart the most is that their kids and my friends that are my age now are having those same conversations. They're saying those same things. They're voicing the same struggle. And this was 20 years ago, and to feel like, maybe we haven't made the progress we need to in over 20 years is just unacceptable. So those are things that, I'll speak with my kids, and I just want them to know that we're here. We love them. We support them. We stand behind them. And I won't always understand every struggle that they go through. There's no way that I can, but I will listen and I will stand behind them 100%.
Agreed. Coach Flowers, I appreciate you taking time out of your day from your wife, your children, your music, your writing, all that you've got going on when track and field is on the back burner. And best of luck this 2021 season.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my pleasure.
And once again, the method, a simple training method for developing middle distance runners. We'll plug it one more time for you. It's out on
Awesome.
Amazon along with Clem and Tang, and the music's on YouTube. And like I said, we greatly appreciate your time this afternoon.
You bet. Anytime. Take
Thank you,
care.
sir.
Oh, pirates, yes, they rob I, sold to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. Move forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Is all I ever had. Redemption song, songs of freedom. Redemption song. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall we kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Ooh, some say it's just a part of it. You've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Is all I ever had. Redemption song, songs of freedom. Redemption song, songs of freedom. Songs of freedom.